Hey everybody, this is Week 16's Power Rankings. I'm going to go from 10 down to 1 as I always do with the Super Bowl odds. But before I get rolling, again, as I always do, I want to show some respect to the numbers 11 and 12 teams on my list, the Tennessee Titans and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, the Tennessee Titans, according to Bovada, are plus 7,000 to win the Super Bowl. The Pittsburgh Steelers are plus 10,000 to win the Super Bowl. I think we saw on Sunday night, Pittsburgh, they have a great defense. Nobody would argue that, but there are other teams in this league with a great defense, Buffalo being one, New England being another, and a number of other teams. And the bottom line is Pittsburgh's offense is sputtering. There are a few reasons for that. I've been saying again for weeks that Pittsburgh would be much better served going to a more run-focused attack, keep the passing game short, but that's not what Pittsburgh wants to do. Pittsburgh is trying to assert their will over other teams, and you can make an argument, that is the right decision or not the right decision. In my opinion, it's not. Now, I still think Pittsburgh is in a really good position to win that last spot in the playoffs. Basically, Tennessee, the last 2 weeks of the season, they play Houston again, which is, I guess, good for the division race. But Tennessee has to play New Orleans this week, a very motivated New Orleans team. New Orleans needs to keep winning if they want a home game and a playoff bye. So if they want that number 1 or number 2 seed, they have to keep winning. Tennessee, that's a really tough matchup for Tennessee. Pittsburgh, they have to play Baltimore the last week of the season, but this week isn't so tough. And, Houston, I think they play like the New York Jets. So if the Houston Texans can win this game, it's going to be a tough draw for Tennessee, who I love. And I think they probably would have made the playoffs if they made that move from Marcus Mariota to Ryan Tannehill earlier, I should say. But they're still in the thick of things. If they pull off a win against the Saints, they still control basically, I think, their playoff destiny, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe if Houston wins out at this point, they control their own destiny. And if Houston wins this weekend, Tennessee, I don't think they can, even if they beat Houston in the division round, basically the division record. Houston's still going to hold that tiebreaker even if they lose to the Tennessee Titans in Week 17. So Tennessee needs some help, that's for sure. But let's move it in the list now, 10 down to 1. Number 10 on my list, honestly, from 8 to 10, it's been really kind of hard for me to zero in on who I wanted to put where. I'm going to leave the Houston Texans at number 10 on my list at plus 3,300, with the caveat that they are actually my favorite at this point value bet to win the Super Bowl. I've been saying for a couple weeks in this program that this team with Will Fuller in the lineup is a completely different team. I went back today and looked at Houston. When Will Fuller played a complete game, this team is 7-2 this season, okay? So, they're basically, 2-3 outside when Will Fuller is not playing a full game. That just kind of proves the point there. This team is much more dynamic offensively when Will Fuller is in the game. They push the ball downfield more. Interestingly, Will Fuller only has 3 touchdown grabs this whole year, and they all came in one game. But you'll see if you look at his stat line, there are a bunch of games where he has a couple hundred yards, 100, 150 yards, and like three catches. So that deep downfield presence, believe me, it makes a big deal. Bovada has them at plus 3,300. Once again, I think that's my favorite futures bet. Number 9 on my list is the Green Bay Packers at 10-4. Bovada has them at plus 1,200 to win the Super Bowl. Green Bay still worries me, not having a second receiver to really lengthen and make that field more vertical. Teams are really just trying to bottle up Devontae Adams, and of course it's easier said than done to do that. And then you have Aaron Jones, but you still have Aaron Rodgers. So I think that's why their odds are as good as they are, plus 1,200. But, it's hard for me to think that they're going to be able to beat the Seahawks, the 49ers, or for that matter, the Vikings, who they're going to play, for potentially the division crown towards the end of the season here. And then also, I'm forgetting one team, the Saints. I just don't see how they can beat them without another offensive weapon opposite Devontae Adams, but maybe that's what the offseason's for. But we'll see it. I mean, this Packers team, the defense makes plays when they have to make plays, and the team can run the ball. So it's a very interesting team. Number 8 on my list, staying in the same spot as last week, 10-4, the Buffalo Bills, taking care of business against the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday Night Football. They are, according to Bovada, plus 3,000 to win the Super Bowl. I actually think they're plus 3,500. I'll have to double check that. But bottom line is Buffalo finally they're starting to get a little bit more respect here. Their defense is top notch. They're a top defense in this league, and this offense can run the ball, and they can make plays offensively when they have to. Now, I still have concerns. I don't know that Josh Allen is ready to make a Super Bowl run, but this team is a lot better than people think that they are. They're a lot better than I thought that they would be. Respect to Buffalo. They're doing some good things there. Number 7 on my list, the Minnesota Vikings at 10-4. They're plus 2,200 to win the Super Bowl, according to Bovada. Now, I thought that the LA Chargers were going to be a trap game for them. I thought that that was going to be a lot tougher of a game. So to watch Minnesota, having seen Dalvin Cook basically leave that game early, do what they did to the LA Chargers, they're focused. Credit Coach Zimmer there. Credit the whole Minnesota Vikings team. I think they're a fantastic team. I picked them to make the playoffs earlier this season. I was right in that prediction, obviously, so good for the Minnesota Vikings. And I think that they're a team that can definitely make a run. Kirk Cousins is playing better. I would have liked to have seen a little bit of a better game from him yesterday, but let's face it, they didn't need it. Adam Thielen's back. I hope that Dalvin Cook can come back. I hope Alexander Mattison can get healthy so this roster can be ready to go the first week of the playoffs, the wild card weekend. But they're not out of the running yet for a better playoff seed. But most likely they'll either be a wild card or they'll be the division winner playing on wild card weekend. So once again, they're at plus 2,200. Number 6 on my list, remaining unchanged, the New England Patriots at 11-3 at plus 600. The Patriots did exactly what I thought they would do. They shredded the Cincinnati Bengals. I won that bet. Thank you very much, New England. Now let me be honest with you. Now the New England Patriots, I think that as they stand today, they're playing worse than the 5 teams ahead of them. However, I am a realistic person. I'm very aware that they are the reigning Super Bowl champions. They won that Super Bowl against a really heavy powerhouse offensive team. I think it was like 10-3 or something like that. I mean, they shut offenses down, and they do so in the playoffs. I bet you this defense is going to play even better in the playoffs. I would not, and one of my betting rules is to never bet against the New England Patriots. I'm doing this list. This is how I see it right now. But come playoff time, regardless, do I bet against the New England Patriots, who Bill Belichick is fantastic the second time he plays teams, and he's played every single playoff team in the AFC. I don't bet against the New England Patriots. I just don't do it. So they're a very dangerous number 6, and I think you can make a really good argument, in my opinion, for the top 7 teams, including the Vikings, to win the Super Bowl this year. I really think there are 7 teams that could really honestly make a run. I think Green Bay is flawed with the receiver. And actually Houston, I mentioned before at number 10, I think Houston could make a run, assuming Will Fuller's healthy. So I think there are 8 teams that could actually make a really good argument. I just think Green Bay and Buffalo are just a little bit flawed, not quite ready. They need another piece, but still very, very good and very dangerous week to week. Number 5 on my list, the Kansas City Chiefs at plus 750, according to Bovada, to win the Super Bowl. The Chiefs defense is playing better and better by the week. The Chiefs offense is going to get it together. I'm still a little worried about the running game, but when the passing game is that good, there's not a lot to worry about, okay? So, I think that the Kansas City Chiefs are very dangerous. Do I bet against them, against any team? I don't, but there's a lot to like at the top of this league. Number 4 on my list is the New Orleans Saints, plus 600. Now, they just decimated the Indianapolis Colts. I know that. And I thought, do I put the New Orleans Saints ahead of the San Francisco 49ers, having just lost to the 49ers 2 weeks ago because the 49ers lost to the Atlanta Falcons? And you know what? And by the way, San Francisco is my number 3 team at plus 450 to win the Super Bowl, according to Bovada. So the reason I put New Orleans at number 4 and San Francisco at number 3 this week, even though the 2 teams look differently, San Francisco is missing Richard Sherman. That hurts. And so Julio Jones dominated them. I think Richard Sherman will be back. That's one reason. The second reason, obviously, is San Francisco just beat New Orleans about 9 days ago or whatever it was. And the third reason is both of these teams took a bad loss to Atlanta. Atlanta right after the bye week, their bye week, and New Orleans' bye week really beat up on the New Orleans Saints. The Saints were not ready to play, and the San Francisco 49ers are beat up, and they lost to the Atlanta Falcons. So I'm not going to downgrade San Francisco too much, but let me say this. It's razor thin. It's razor thin, just like that game was razor thin last week in week 14, that fantastic game. So I'm going to leave those 2 teams where they are for now. But San Francisco losing to Atlanta, especially in the fashion they lost to Atlanta, that's no good. Number 2 on my list is the Seattle Seahawks at plus 850, according to Bovada, to win the Super Bowl. 11-3. They beat the San Francisco 49ers. They lost to the New Orleans Saints, but they've been playing better as of late. Now, they lost to the LA Rams, a very desperate LA Rams team on Sunday Night Football in Week 14. I thought that was going to happen. or I thought that there was a chance that that would happen, okay? Now, I'm not too worried about that. They still look pretty good, but San Francisco and Seattle, they're going to play one time before the end of the season, and that thing will shake out. That's going to basically be the NFC West right there. So we'll see who's the number 1 or 2 seed and who's the number 5 seed in the NFC. It's crazy. And the number 1 team on my list, once again, is the Baltimore Ravens at plus 225 to win the Super Bowl. Interestingly enough, so Bovada actually downgraded their odds. They were at plus 215 last week. Now they're at plus 225. So although they ran through the Jets literally on Thursday Night Football, wouldn't you know it? And I shouldn't even say ran through the Jets because Mr. Lamar Jackson had 5 touchdown passes. So great team. Nobody's playing as well as the Baltimore Ravens. They're on quite a run. Do I bet on the Patriots against the Ravens? No. Do I bet on the Ravens against the Patriots? No. I mean, there's a lot of really good matchups. I can't wait to really dig in and see what the game-by-game matchups are going to be. They're starting to take shape a little bit, but we'll have a definitely a special edition out here pretty soon to look at playoff matchups and all that. So great week of football coming up. Great week of football we just saw, and those are how I see them. I know some people are going to take some issue with some stuff. Hopefully, I explained my rankings accordingly. But if you disagree, please let me know at least your top 5. Comment. Let me know who you think, and let's have a discussion. Once again, everybody, thanks for if you're watching this on YouTube, thanks for watching. If you're listening to the podcast, back to the show.